All right, children. Children, can we get silence here now? Okay, so everyone knows the reason why we're here today, right? So we all celebrated Space Week in school, right? So we're going to learn a little bit more about the energy in space and all about the scientific elements that go on in space, right? And over here, our guest speaker today is Mr. Dr. Pervez Hoodbhoy, right? Who is going to interact with you all and tell you more about the Black Hole Community Center and about black hole and more about everything about space, right? Thank you.
I have my mic. Okay, guys, it's good to get together with you. I'm not going to talk about the black hole at all, actually. I'm going to talk about some really big questions. यार ये projector चला दो. हाँ. So are you prepared for some really big, deep, interesting questions? You are. Okay. यार ये उधर रख दो, मेरा phone रख दो. हाँ. Okay. Good. So then, as soon as this thing comes on, you will see that we're going to talk about how life started. So the origin of life, both here on Earth as well as in the cosmos. What is the cosmos? It's the rest of the world. So it's the solar system, it's the galaxies, it's everything in the universe. And the universe is much, much, much bigger than the Earth or the solar system or even our galaxy, which is huge. So we're going to talk about some really big and deep and interesting questions. हाँ, अच्छा ये बताओ तुम लोग उर्दू बोलते हो या सिर्फ अंग्रेजी बोलते हो? बोलते हैं? अच्छा, अंग्रेजी भी आती है? तो दोनों ज़बानें आती हैं? अरे शाबाश, क्या बात है, दोनों ज़बानें आनी चाहिए. तो मैं तुम लोगों से जो बातें करूँगा ना, उसके बाद तुम लोग सवाल करो और जिस ज़बान में भी करना चाहो कर सकते हो. ठीक है? ओके. तो देखो, I am going to talk about questions which normally people don't talk about here in Pakistan and in fact even in much of the world. So the big question is, what is the world made of? You'll say it's atoms, okay. But you can ask questions at the end. Now, if you ask now, then unfortunately we'll get distracted. We won't be able to cover so many of the interesting things I'm going to talk about. So the first question will be, what is the world made of? Is it, people used to think that it is made of what? Earth, fire, water, and air. Yes, correct. Even today, some people think that's the way it is, but we know, you guys are smart enough to know that that's not what it is. Then the next question is, what holds up the earth? I mean, everything falls down. This fell down, didn't it? What made it fall down? Yeah, so everything falls down. Why doesn't the earth fall down? I'm going to tell you why it doesn't fall down. Then, where did we come from? And I don't mean your house. I mean, how did we come from where? And then the question, why are you here? Why are you here? I mean, I don't mean here in the black hole, but why do you live? And finally, this is going to be a question, can there be life elsewhere? And we're going to talk about that. Yeah, if God wills, God can make anything. So that's not an interesting question, All right, so let's... I want to remind you that there were... Shh. You over there, be quiet, okay? Otherwise, we won't be able to get through so many of these questions. All right, so these are the old ancient Greek philosophers. You can see there's Plato, there's Aristotle, and there's Socrates, and there were a lot more than them. There was Alexander, there was Heraclitus, and so forth. Many, many of them, and they laid so many of the foundations of science as we know it today. So the question is, what holds up the earth? And it could be that there's a big elephant. Why an elephant?
Why not?
Because it's the biggest. Yeah, it's the biggest animal that's around, and it can hold an enormous amount of weight. So people thought, well, maybe it's an elephant. What else could it be? It could be a bull, which has horns on its head. Look, I'm going to ask you to leave the class. You come here. You come here. Yeah, you with the black shirt. You come here. You come here. You come here. And you come here. Yeah. And I'm going to put, little girl, you go over there. Yeah. And he sits over here. Yeah. And anybody who talks now out of turn is going to either leave the hall or will have his or her position shifted. Okay, so now let's come back to the big bull, the bull which had horns on its head. The earth, people used to think, was on the horns of a bull. And it made a lot of sense because these bulls are big. What happens when the bull shakes his head? Exactly, that's when an earthquake happens. Okay, so it makes a lot of sense. But now the problem is, what is the bull standing on? It has to be something big also, right? Well, it could be a giant turtle. A big, giant turtle, it could be, right?
If it was like that, why couldn't we see the bull or turtle?
Well, then you could ask the question, what is the turtle standing on? And so, back in the good old days, there was the idea that turtle was standing on a turtle who was standing on a turtle, and it was turtles all the way down. Yes?
How do you know that how deep the space was?
Oh, so there are turtles all the way down, all the way down. So there's no last turtle, there's a turtle and a turtle and a turtle. So, it's all. So this is how people used to think. But then it has to end somewhere, right? As you were saying, it has to end somewhere. So there could be a super turtle. Yeah, don't ask. I don't know the answer to what is holding up the super turtle. Acha. So that's how in the old days people used to think. But then, then comes religion and they say the world was created in just a jiffy. Some say 7 days. Aren't you a Christian? Well, if you were a Christian, you would know that God created the world in 7 days. You didn't know that? And that is why, he got tired after 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. And that is why on Sunday you have a holiday. Every child knows that. Don't you teach this in school? No. Oh dear. We learned it in school. That God made the world in 7 days. On the 6th day he rested. On the 7th day he rested, and that's why we have a holiday on Sundays. Actually, I don't think it's just the fault of your school. I asked the same question in Nepal. And in Nepal they have Hindus, and they didn't know either. So But if I ask this question in England, everybody knows the answer there. Yeah, because there's a Christian majority there. So you see, there were these ideas that God made it all in either 1 minute or 7 days. But in Hinduism, the creator of the universe, the guy who made it all, is a god by the name of Brahma. And he's the master god. But then comes Shiva, or they call it, sometimes called Shiv, and Shiv then destroys the universe. And he says there's too much wrong, there's too much evil, so he just destroys the universe. And then comes Vishnu, so you see he's very happy, and he's sometimes sailing on a boat, and he recreates the universe. So now, if you were a Hindu, you'd be believing this. If you were a Muslim, you'd be believing the previous. If you had lived in the time of Aristotle and Plato, you'd be believing on elephants and all that, yeah. But we're not going to talk about any of these things. We're going to talk about the scientific view of how the universe came into existence. And today, every scientist, including myself, knows from evidence that the universe came from a big bang. This is so important for you to know, and now I want to explain how we came to this conclusion that the universe started off with a bang. And this was about 14 billion years ago. 14 billion years ago. Or if I want to be more accurate, it will be 13.7 billion years ago. And it started with this astronomer whose name was Edwin Hubble. Have you heard of the Hubble telescope in space? Yeah, okay. So it's named after him. And Hubble was looking through his telescope, and wherever he looked over there, he looked over there, and when the Earth turned around, he looked there, and wherever he looked, he saw that the galaxies were running away from us faster and faster. The further they were, the faster they were moving. And so this got him thinking. He said, hey, if I was to take a video of this, I'd see everything going out and out and out. But if I was to play that video in reverse, then what would I see? Everything coming together closer and closer and closer until everything in the world, in the universe, comes to one single point, and that point is where the Big Bang happened. So there was a massive explosion in which everything that there is, the Earth, the planets, of course, they didn't exist at that time, but all the matter came into existence there. I could give you so much of the detailed reasoning that's gone into the Big Bang, but there's no time for that. Okay, so what happened then was hydrogen gas was released in enormous amounts. And this hydrogen gas spread throughout the universe. But hydrogen is matter, and all matter attracts each other because of gravity. And so these clumps of hydrogen, they started getting together. And as they came together, they became hotter and hotter until a nuclear reaction started, and the first stars were born. So then the universe, which was dark before that, suddenly there were specks of light here, there, everywhere, and that's how our sun was also born. This is a picture taken by the Hubble telescope and it shows an exploding star. I'll tell you why stars explode. But, by the way, I have some bad news for you. Of course you're going to die. That's not the bad news. The bad news is you woke up today, right? And you saw the sun coming out. And you saw that the day before and the day before and the day before. But one day, the sun, which is burning up its fuel, is going to run out of fuel. Just like your car, unless you fill it up with petrol, is going to come to a stop. And so our sun, which is burning up hydrogen and producing all the energy and heat which makes the earth warm and which gives us light, well, the sun is going to run out of its fuel, out of hydrogen. But I don't think you should worry too much about it. Yeah, why? Beautiful question, beautiful question. About 4 billion years from now. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, good. Excellent. Yes. So it's going to become a red giant star, and it's going to be, before it goes dim and dull, is going to get bigger and bigger until it reaches the earth, is going to swallow you up. I mean, not you, but your kids and their kids, and, far away, and then there won't be any sun at all. Okay, so now the universe gets created. It comes into existence because of the Big Bang. But then how did the earth on which we live form? So what happened was, some star in the universe, it exploded. And from that explosion, lots of matter started going off in this direction and that direction. And that then started coming together. That's how our sun was made. That's how our solar system was made. And in the beginning, so you look over here, here is this ball of very hot matter. When I say very hot, it's completely liquid. Molten hot, absolutely. And so, of course, there couldn't be any life on it, no question about that. But it was so hot that it was completely liquid, but then as it started to cool down, everything that's hot eventually cools down. You've seen that happen, right? Well, the outer layers were very hot, but you see that all heavy things go to the center. So suppose you take water. So I have a glass of water, and I drop a pebble into this. A pebble is dense, and so it'll fall to the bottom of this glass. And you see that what happened is that first there's a core that forms of the earth, which becomes bigger and bigger until we come to the earth as it is in its present form. Now, this took a long time to happen. It took about 1 billion years, which is quite a long time, but the total age of the earth is something like 4.5 billion years. I'm going to ask you to come here. You, yes, with the glasses. Yeah, you come here. And you go there. Yeah. No, you can stay. Yeah, you go. Yeah. All right. So it took a while. It took a long while for the earth to form, and now we're going to talk about how life eventually came into being. But before that, I want to ask you, and anybody who can give me an answer, what is life? Yeah?
Life is any organism cell that meets the characteristics of living, such as reproduction, respiration, and crenation.
Say it again. Say it on the mic.
Life is everything like a cell or an organism which characterizes the description we are given of a living thing, such as reproduction, discretion, and respiration.
Okay. Except what you said was circular. You said life is what we call a living organism, but then you're saying life is living, so that's not right. Can you then omit that mistake and repeat?
Life is something that matters the characteristics of given to something which is living, such as reproduction.
You said it again.
No, it's like the characteristics which get given to an object to characterize that it's living.
You have some ideas correct, but you're not quite expressing it right. Okay, who's next? You wanted? Life. What's life?
Life is when there are cells in our body that are like given to us by Allah, and then we like function.
Oh, come on,
work.
everything's given to us by Allah. That's so boring.
But there are
it's
cells. That's what I have. Cells.
What if you lived in a country where they don't know about Allah? Is this how you would define life?
No, I would say they're made up of cells and matter.
I don't know about cells. I've never heard of cells. I've never seen a cell with my naked eyes. Yeah. Okay. Either. Here. There. Yeah.
If you haven't seen a cell, then why do you even care what you're made of?
I do care. Because look, I'm a scientist. I care about everything. So, yeah.
Maybe life is an idea of existence.
No. A stone exists. Is a stone alive? Okay, so tell me, you shook your head. Why is a stone not alive?
Because it doesn't have respiration and everything, the processes of a living thing.
Okay, it doesn't respire, and what?
And it doesn't excrete and doesn't do the characteristics of a living organism.
अरे यार फिर से तुम उसमें आ जाते हो ना. But you had some things right. Yeah.
Life is the period of time a person is alive.
You're saying 2 is equal to 2, so I don't learn anything from that. अच्छा देखो, let's come back. पत्थर अपनी जगह से हिल सकता? नहीं. तुम अपनी जगह से हिल सकते हो? हाँ. अच्छा, एक फर्क तो ये आ गया. पत्थर सांस नहीं लेता, तुम सांस लेते हो? ओके, गुड. पत्थर के बच्चे नहीं होते, तुम्हारे बच्चे होंगे ना, तुम्हारे होंगे किसी दिन. ओके, और क्या? What else? Yeah.
A living thing excretes.
Acha, okay. A living thing excretes. So to excrete, what must it do? It must eat. It must eat, exactly. So these are the things that define life. So then the question is, in the beginning, if there were only atoms, if there was only hydrogen and oxygen and the elements, then how did that turn into various forms of life? देखो कीड़े मकोड़े परिंदे बिल्लियाँ कुत्ते गधे सब कुछ है, तुम भी हो, तो everything is there. So how did it all happen? How did we turn from inanimate matter into life? That's the big question. And then of course these questions we will ask. Does life exist on other planets, in other places in the universe? Yeah? Okay. And then what's going to happen to life on Earth in the years, in the decades, in the centuries, in the millennia to come? All right, by the way, here is a summary of what is life. Living things need to eat, right? They need to take in energy. They need to get rid of waste. As you said, they all have to go to the toilet in the morning. Did you go to the bathroom this morning? Good, good. Living things grow. पत्थर बड़ा नहीं होता, तुम बड़े हो जाते हो. Living things respond to the environment. Or किसी को तुम try putting a pin into your neighbor and you'll see that there's a response over there. And living things produce kids, and over time, this is very, very important. Over time, living things evolve. What's the meaning of evolve? Change over time. You tell me what were you saying about evolve? नहीं. हाँ, बोलो. What does evolve mean?
I'm responding to the environment.
No. Do you know what evolve means?
Development.
Yes, it means that your children will not be exactly the way you are, and their children will be slightly different and slightly different. So over time, all beings, all animals, all plants, all humans evolve. And we're going to talk a bit more about that. Okay, so, the question was, who gave us life? What gave us life? It's okay. It's okay. I mean, if you're a Hindu, will you say Allah gave me life? Of course not. That's just something that you believe in, okay? There are atheists who don't believe in any God, but it's a fact that life exists, that life has come from atoms and molecules, and the question is, that's the way we see it now. But in old times, how did they see it? Well, the ancient Egyptians, they used to think that life came from toads and snails and worms in the river Nile. The river Nile was called the mother of life. You see, they didn't have Allah in those days. They had the river Nile. And that was the source of all life. Then there was Aristotle, who was a very wise man, and he thought that they came from insects. And from insects and worms and mice and eels and fish and all that. So that was the origin of life. And you know what the English used to say? You guys are from Westminster. That's in England. 1,000 years ago, the English people used to believe that life came from the dirty underwear of kings.
So then where did the kings come from?
From the kings before them. The super king, the super turtle, exactly. Well done. Yeah. Okay. Now, here is what science tells you about the way in which life was created. So, if you were on Earth about 1 billion years ago, you would see a very different Earth. You'd see it as something like this, with volcanoes, with sulfur dioxide coming out from the volcanoes. You'd see these hot springs, which still exist on Earth, but much less than earlier. And there was lightning strikes. And this lightning, you see, was very, very fierce. Because of this lightning, the atoms would get together, would get close to each other. And there was this so there's this big question which was around in science until it was solved. The question was, how did various simple atoms on primitive Earth combine to make the molecules needed for life? See, you are made up of molecules, and in particular, there's a molecule that's inside you. It's called the DNA molecule. How did that DNA molecule come about? So this experiment was carried out way back in 1953. I don't think many of you were around at that time. No. But, well, I was actually, but just almost there. So this experiment was just fantastic. It showed how, it was such an interesting experiment. It showed that if you have the equivalent of lightning, so there are two wires that are close to each other, and a spark passes between those wires, just like happens in your motorcycle, and the atoms, they combine with each other and they give you what are called amino acids, and then these amino acids, over a long period of time, they make these DNA molecules, the stuff that's inside you and which you are going to give to your children. There is no way that your children will not have your DNA. Okay? Unless you adopt some. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. I always like the exceptions. So the earliest form of life was this. ये कीड़े जो है ना, इनको prokaryotes कहते हैं. Has anyone heard of them before? You have. You have. Oh, good, good. What came after prokaryotes? It took 1 billion years, in fact more, and then you had eukaryotes. Now, here is the whole idea of evolution. Evolution says that simpler organisms over time evolve to become more complex organisms, and as they become more and more complex, their functions increase. In the beginning, we had just these little wormy things. Then from there, we had a whole bunch of other things. Protists, plants, fungi, animals, and of course, you are an animal too. Of course you are an animal. I'm proud to be an animal. Yeah, because that's the way it is. We're part of the... Okay, so by the way, how do you know that you're part of the animal kingdom? How? Yeah. Yeah? Either.
Animal cells.
Animal cells. Can you say a little bit more? Acha, udhar. So how do you know you are an animal?
A lot of theories suggest that we evolved from animals and that we have different cells of animals and some characteristics too.
Yeah, dekho, I have never seen a cell in my life, okay? I have actually, but let's pretend that I haven't. Suppose I didn't know about cells. What are the common things between you and a cat? Okay, we have eyes. What else? Terror. One at a time. Yeah, go to her. So, in what ways are you a cat?
We have hair and like
Fur, yeah, you have hair. Okay. What else?
eyes and like organs,
You have eyes. What organs? Okay, so let's get into organs.
like a heart,
You have a heart. Cat has a heart.
yeah, lungs,
Lungs, liver,
liver, intestine, yeah,
kidneys,
kidneys.
then ears, eyes, nose. You breathe. Cat breathes. What is your blood temperature? What is the temperature of your body?
I'm not sure about that.
98.4 if you're normal.
Yeah,
Fahrenheit में कितना होता है? 37 होता है? 37? Okay. If you measure it for a cat, it's slightly more. It's 37 point something. Acha. What else is common? चलो इधर
yeah.
आगे. हाँ. Yes, next over here. So apart from the things that your friend said at the back, what else do you have in common with a cat?
We both grow, respire, reproduce.
We both?
Grow, respire, reproduce.
You grow and
Respire
respire,
and reproduce.
reproduce? Absolutely. You can both run. You can talk. No, talk. You now here are the differences. The cat cannot does not have a language. म्याओ म्याओ हाँ लेकिन यार म्याओ म्याओ से बहुत ज़्यादा वो आगे नहीं कर सकती ना. It's we can't have a conversation with a cat just like you and I are having a conversation. We have expressions, so that is true. A cat has expressions. When it's angry it goes "Ugh." Just like when we are angry we have expressions. So there are a lot of things in common, but there are a lot of things that are different. Now I have to tell you how we reached this stage. It took us a very, very long time from prokaryotes to eukaryotes to multicellular forms of life. It took us 3 billion years. Now, how big is 3 billion years? I mean, it's enormous. You can't even think of it in your mind. So I want you to think of it in the following way. Let's say that the earth was created at midnight. Then from midnight to 6 in the morning, nothing happened. कुछ भी नहीं, इसलिए कि ज़मीन बहुत गर्म थी, ऊपर से ये meteorites की बारिश थी, there was too much lightning, there was no water. Yeah. Because the water was all steam. It was steam. It was a very hot atmosphere. Acha. Then you have the prokaryotes being there from 6 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Then from 4 in the afternoon till 10 at night was when the eukaryotes were there, when the prokaryotes were there, eukaryotes were there. And then all these complex forms of life, the fish, the animals, they came between 10 o'clock at night up till 1 minute before midnight. And we humans are in the one last minute. So how long have we been around? About a million years. Nothing. It's nothing. Yeah, it's only. Okay, so this is how it all happened. We started from up, and then we came to the mammals. Among the mammals are the various forms of apes, and you can see. Now, this is on the way. This is on the way towards becoming human. And then we started. My great-grandfather used to live, great, used to live in a cave. We all lived in caves. And by the way, if you are to go ever to certain parts of Balochistan or of KPK, you will still find people living in caves. They don't look like this anymore, but they still live in caves, and we have so many of the characteristics of a cave dweller. Now, here is something that is absolutely mind-blowing. Everybody who is here, their ancestors came from Africa, about they came just 60,000 years ago. 60,000 years is nothing. Is it nothing or is it a big deal? It's nothing. Why do you say it's nothing? Yeah. Yeah.
Because the development of humans started 3 billion years ago, and like 60,000 in front of 3 billion is like just like a teeny tiny number.
Exactly. Development of life started 3 billion years ago. Humans are about 1 million years. So slight correction over there, but more or less you're right. Okay, but the amazing thing is that there was one place on earth which was very suitable for humans, because there was lots of food over there, fruit. The food grew on trees. There was a lot of rain. There were bananas. There were all kinds of fruit, and living was easy. But then what happened was that the rain stopped falling. The trees started drying up. There wasn't enough food. The wild animals who used to live off the other fruits, they started dying off. And so people said, we have to get out of here. And this is how the original humans, they started moving out of Africa, and they moved into Europe, America, Australia, and of course they came to India. And they came to India maybe, who knows? We don't have a very good idea, but a few tens of thousands of years, maybe 20,000 years ago. In terms of human civilizational development, what is the oldest civilization that you know of? बताओ. अलग-अलग लोगों को दिया करो.
Indus civilization.
Which?
Indus.
How old?
20,000 years.
No, not 20. More like 4,000 years. Yeah, not 20,000. No. The oldest one that we know of is the Egyptian civilization, and that's about 6,000 years. Yeah. अच्छा दो जल्दी हाँ इनको दो.
No. The question is a little bit away. But why, is there any evidence why life originated from Africa? Like any
well, we don't have an exact answer, but where there is food, where the temperature is not too high, not too low, that's the best place for humans to survive. So if you have an environment which is conducive to survival, that's where a particular species of animals will develop. Let's take the polar bear. The polar bear thrives in areas which are cold, where there's food. It eats seals and fish and so forth. And this is true for every animal. It's true for humans as well. And this is why it started in Africa. And then the reason that people had to leave Africa, I've already explained over here, that the weather started changing. In fact, when the weather starts changing here, climate starts changing here, then people may have to leave Pakistan. Yeah. And I don't know where you'll go, but what if it gets too hot? Or, no, it's not going to get too cold, it's going to get too hot. You know what the temperature in Jacobabad was this year? 51 degrees centigrade. Which means that if you break an egg and you put it on a stone, on a rock, it'll fry fry itself. And you won't be able to live in Pakistan after 30 years, 50 years, I don't know when, because it's just getting so hot. And then people will go for the colder places. Antarctica, yeah, but Antarctica will be full of people, so you better get there fast. All right, so finally, the question, are we alone in the universe? Don't put up your hand because you don't know. And I don't know. However, what we do know is it's not on these planets. We've looked over there, we've looked at Mars. In fact, there was a spacecraft. Yeah. Tara.
There's like a moon. There's a moon in Jupiter. It's like frozen with ice. Underneath it could be like microorganisms.
You're right. There could be microorganisms. And in fact, on Mars, there could be microorganisms as well. They're still not completely sure about that. But, the path from microorganisms to macroorganisms, we are macro. Macro means big, micro means small. That path takes billions of years. And so, certainly, not on these planets will you find life as exists on Earth. Okay, so I've pretty much... but I haven't fully answered this. Is there life elsewhere? And the answer is that because we know that atoms became life through the process of what I explained, the sparking, the presence of... you'll get your chance. Everybody will get their chance. Yeah. Through the fact that you had water vapor and hydrogen and methane and all these elementary gases. From these elementary gases, we got the amino acid. From the amino acids, we got the DNA, which you have inside you. And that is how life evolved on Earth. But the Earth is just one of billions of planets in the universe. Could there be life over there? We don't know. There could be. The only question is, how would we communicate with them, because they're so far away from us? And here is the issue. We don't know. We're pretty sure that life must exist elsewhere, but we will probably never get to meet with those things, with those people, or whatever. Okay, so now I'm done, and now you can ask your questions. But I must give you the summary. Okay, so nobody is among scientists, nobody is contesting the idea that it all started with the Big Bang, unless he's a fool. We know a lot about the universe and its origins, but we don't know exactly the same amount of detail about the solar system, but we are finding out. So here's the lovely thing about science. You're all the time discovering new things in science. It's not like geography. Geography, you learn, okay, there's a country here. Okay, big deal. But in science, all the time you're finding out new things, and you're putting together a jigsaw puzzle. So, and finally, this point number 5, evolution is a cornerstone, meaning it's the foundation of biology. The fact that simple organisms mutate. What does mutate mean? Now, mutate means उसकी एक थोड़ी सी मुख्तलिफ किस्म, उसकी औलाद उससे थोड़ी सी मुख्तलिफ हो सकती है, उसको mutation कहते हैं. So it's a slight change. Now that slight change might make a big difference in terms of survivability in that environment. And this is how simple to complex happened over a long period of time. Okay, guys, so now I'm done, and now you can ask your questions. Take people.
I have a question about the Big Bang.
Yeah, good.
They said that there was like a point from which it blew up, right? So do we know exactly where it is, and have we explored it?
You know, that's the best question I've heard so far. And it's a really good question. So I'll repeat the question. Where did it all start from? Did it start from the earth? Did it start from Islamabad? Did it start from Las Vegas? Did it start from Makkah? Where? And the answer is that starting point could have been anywhere in the universe. And now to explain this point is going to take me so long, and it's not going to be possible until you study a whole lot of physics and also math. I can only tell you that our understanding comes from Einstein. Einstein told us exactly the following. He said, the start of the universe can be here, 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 here. Everywhere you will see these stars running away from you. It boggles your mind. How could this be possible? Because a circle has only one center. But so it's not a circle. It's actually the surface of an expanding sphere. But you know, if I was to get into details now, it would take too long. There are too many questions. But yeah, good question, and follow it up by reading on it.
Sir, I have a question. So, why does supermoon and blood moon happen? Because it has been happening a lot recently.
Yeah, recently to koi nahi. It's the moon has been doing the same thing for millions of years, and there's nothing recent about that. It's just that when you have atmospheric conditions that give the moon a halo, then it looks like a supermoon. So the motion of the moon is actually very, very well studied. In fact, we can tell where the moon will be 10,000 years from now to within 1 inch. Yeah.
Is there a multiverse, and if there is, could there be another Earth with doppelgangers of us?
Yeah, your question made me happy, but my friend, I don't know if there's a multiverse or not, because there's no way that I can go and communicate with somebody in another universe. By definition, the universe is all that is around us. So what you're talking about is something that was invented by a physicist to explain a certain difficulty in quantum mechanics, which I cannot explain here. And it's a nice theoretical explanation, but it doesn't have any supportive evidence. So I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm simply saying I insist on proof as a scientist. And if there's not going to be proof, then I'm not going to believe it. Okay. हाँ ले जाओ आप किसके पास हाँ
So, sir, I have like a theory about the Big Bang. So, for example, you're in a dark room with a lot of objects around. Now it's really dark, you can't see, but the objects are still there. So maybe if two like objects collided, it would have like make like a small spark or something. So I have the same theory about the Big Bang, that maybe there were things floating in the darkness, but like we just couldn't see it, and that's what made the Big Bang.
Okay. Things floating in space, which collided, and there wasn't anybody around at that time, of course, to see anything. And so that's how the Big Bang happened, all right? Now, the thing is that then you would have to explain how symmetrical it all is. you see, I told you about Hubble. He looked over there, everywhere, and he found that everywhere the galaxies were running away from us. So in your theory, you'd have to explain that, but also you'd have to explain a lot of other things like how much hydrogen and helium and so forth, all these lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, how much of that there is in the universe. So in science, we insist that you give us observational proof.
So I have a question about this. I'm not sure if it was real or not, but I heard from somewhere that we got like a binary message from somewhere from outer space.
Okay, we got a message in binary. So off, on, that sort of thing. Yeah. Look, there are a lot of messages in space. Every satellite is broadcasting messages. You're talking of deep space, so far away. Well, for a long time, people have been asking this question. Suppose that there is an extraterrestrial civilization. How would they communicate with us? They don't speak English, they don't speak Urdu, they don't speak any human language. So what is it that we could use as something to say, how could we establish communication? And probably the only way is through certain universal constants. Okay, like, you know of the number pi?
Yes.
Okay. What is pi? It's the ratio of the diameter of a circle to its radius. Okay? It's actually 2 pi. Now, whether you're on Earth, whether you're on the other side of the galaxy or other side of the universe, you will measure pi to be exactly 3.1415972, etc. And that is something that we can use to link up with. So people have asked this question. So far, we have not had any communication with any extragalactic civilization.
Also, there is this planet that scientists found out like for habitable for life. It's called Kepler 2.4b. So it might have life there.
Yeah. So what he's talking about are extrasolar planets. So these are planets that go around not the sun, but other stars. Of course, life may exist over there, but again, it is very likely that it'll be microorganisms, not developed forms of life. Yeah. Piche?
So if in like a million years and if we ever like go and meet aliens and we're more advanced than them, won't we go and colonize them and like take over their species? Because it is proven that humans like to go to undiscovered places and colonize them.
यार ये इंसान जो है ना बहुत मुसीबत खड़ी करता है सबके लिए. If you give a guy like Elon Musk authority, he'll go and colonize Mars. And he's actually planning to do that. And he's planning to set up Mars colonies. Now, there'll be very big questions at the end of it. Who owns Mars? अगर वो कहे कि Mars मेरा है, या ये जो, have you heard of this guy called Malik Riaz?
No.
हाँ, वो गरीबों से ज़मीनें चोरी करता और बेचता और बहुत मालदार बन गया. अगर वो ये दावा करे कि चांद मेरा है और उधर वो प्लॉट बेचना शुरू कर दे, उधर डीएचए बना, ये जो फौजी चोर है ना, ये भी कह सकते हैं कि ये हमारा है, चांद हमारा है, चांद पर जाके डीएचए बनाएंगे हम. It's very possible.
So I have another query.
अच्छा नहीं, तुम्हारा सवाल हो गया ना अब. We have to give everybody a chance.
Are aliens real?
यार अभी बात हुई थी ना, even if they are, it's very unlikely that we'll be able to communicate with them. They're too far away.
So, like, is there like the Big Bang still happening or not?
Huh?
Is the Big Bang still happening?
Is the Big Bang still happening? Well, the universe is still expanding. Yeah. And in fact, in 2011, the Nobel Prize for Physics was given to those people who established that the universe is not just expanding, it's expanding faster and faster as time goes on. Milega.
Sir, so you're saying like the sun or like our planets was formed from a supernova. But when the supernova is made, like there's a neutron star or black hole. So wouldn't they be sucked by it or be destroyed by it?
The supernova was the result of a giant star exploding. And then it threw out all its matter in every direction of space. But where there were big clumps of matter, they coalesced together and they formed our sun and the solar system. That supernova, the only thing left of it is a tiny star. It's called a pulsar, and the pulsar goes bing, 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 bing all the time. Right? So, पीछे से शुरू करते हैं और फिर 1, 2, 3 सवाल और.
Sir, so basically the earth is rotating at a very high speed, like around 1000 kilometers per hour or something like that. So if it's really going that fast, then why aren't we just getting flung off into the air?
Good. That's a good question. So the earth is going around. How fast is it going around, by the way? No. It completes one rotation in how much time? 24 hours, right? So now every point on it is moving, and every point on it is, you could be right, it's moving about 800, 900 kilometers per hour, but we don't feel it. I mean, we're sitting over here, I'm sitting on my chair, I don't feel it move. I don't feel the earth moving. Why? Because my speed is not changing. If it was changing, I would feel the difference, but I can't feel speed by itself. When you are in an airplane, the airplane is flying at 500 kilometers per hour, maybe, but you don't feel that it's moving. It's for the and so that's the very same reason.
Sir, can we ever be certain space will stop expanding?
No, it is going to keep expanding and faster and faster. I just told you that the 2011 Nobel Prize was given for discovering that.
So for the question he asked, that why aren't we getting flung off, it might be also because of the gravity pulling us down.
Absolutely, the gravity. But even if we weren't moving, we would feel that gravity. Gravity always pulls things down. If the earth was still, if it was not rotating, we would still be pulled down. But the fact that the earth is moving and we don't feel it, it's because our speed is not changing.
Sir, there was a cold spot found in the universe. So, could it be possible that there's another multiverse in around somewhere?
Cold spot, I don't know exactly what you mean, but maybe there's a part in the universe which is slightly cooler than others, but that doesn't point to a Big Bang. Okay. So one last final question.
Why do black holes exist, and why can they bend gravity and physics and time?
All right. Okay, good question. So his question is, what is a black hole? Well, a black hole was first thought of soon after Einstein discovered his theory of relativity. And a black hole is a star that is dead. It has used up all its fuel, and it's now shrunk to so small a size that the gravity is extremely intense. See, normally if I throw something up, it comes back. But in the case of a black hole, the gravity is so strong that even light, if it goes up, has to come back. So even light cannot escape a black hole. That's what it is. Right, so we are done, and I hope you had a good time. And now you'll see some demonstrations and whatever.